Hi, beautiful souls. I need to share this message right now because my guides are literally pushing me to come on and speak to you. The energy around this download is so intense. They're showing me someone who's been struggling with love patterns that feel bigger than just your own experiences. This is about ancestral patterns, generational cycles in love that have been affecting your family for a long time. I'm getting such strong confirmation that if you're hearing this message, you've been chosen specifically by your ancestors to break these patterns. You might have been feeling this lately. Maybe you've been having really vivid dreams about family members or suddenly feeling drawn to learn about your family's past. For some of you, I'm seeing old photos catching your eye in a way they never did before, or conversations about family history coming up unexpectedly. What's really interesting is that right now, you're likely in a connection or situation that feels completely different from anything you've experienced before. It might even be confusing you because it doesn't follow the usual patterns you're used to in love. That's exactly why your guides wanted me to share this message. They're showing me that this unfamiliarity is actually a sign that you're breaking free from old family patterns. I'm getting such strong chills right now because they're showing me how some of you have been seeing repeated numbers everywhere, especially 111, 222, or 777. These aren't just random. They're signs from your ancestors trying to get your attention. There's something so important they want you to understand about your current love situation. The energy I'm picking up is really emphasizing how you might have recently experienced a setback or challenge in love that felt different from past hurts, like it was teaching you something deeper. Your guides are showing me that this is all connected to your soul's mission to heal these ancestral patterns. I'm seeing the High Priestess energy so strongly around you, and she's revealing why certain relationships in your past had to end the way they did. The energy coming through right now is incredibly powerful. Your ancestors are gathering around this message, and they're showing me exactly why they chose you for this important task. They're revealing how your current experiences in love are actually part of a much bigger spiritual plan. And wow, as they're showing me why you were chosen, the Queen of Pentacles just came through so powerfully. This is such amazing confirmation of what your ancestors see in you. You're someone who knows how to create real tangible stability in your life. I'm feeling that lately you've been really focused on building your own foundation, maybe fixing up your living space, focusing on your career, or just making sure you feel secure in yourself. This isn't just about being practical. This is actually a sacred gift that's been passed down through your ancestral line. You know, it's interesting because with the High Priestess that came through earlier, your guides are showing me how you've been quietly developing this incredible strength. You might not even realize it, but all those challenges you faced in past relationships, they weren't just random hardships. They were actually preparing you for this moment, teaching you how to trust your intuition in a way that's different from how the women in your family might have done before. I'm getting such strong validation around the Six of Swords energy that was showing up earlier. This sense that you've been moving away from old patterns, especially in how you approach relationships. You're doing something really different from what you've seen in your family history. Some of you might have noticed you're setting boundaries in ways that your mother or grandmother never could. Others might be choosing partners that look nothing like the typical relationships in your family. And what's really fascinating is this Hierophant reversed energy that's been present throughout your journey. Your guides are showing me how you're naturally questioning those old rules about relationships that have been passed down in your family. You know, those unwritten rules like stay together no matter what, or put everyone else's needs before your own. You're seeing through these patterns, and that's exactly why your ancestors chose you. I'm feeling this really strong message coming through about your practical wisdom, the way you can balance taking care of yourself while still being there for others. This isn't just a personality trait. This is actually a gift that your ancestors helped cultivate in you. They're showing me how some of you have recently been getting unexpected compliments about your wisdom or the way you handle difficult situations. That's not a coincidence. That's your ancestral wisdom shining through. Your guides are really emphasizing how important your timing is right now. They're showing me that this period where you're learning to trust yourself, especially around love and relationships, it's all divinely orchestrated. Some of you might be seeing these patterns in your family repeating around you, maybe watching siblings or cousins going through similar relationship struggles that you've worked to overcome. This is happening to show you just how far you've come. And you know what's really fascinating? Just as I'm connecting with your ancestors about these patterns you're breaking, the Emperor card comes forward so powerfully. This is such clear confirmation of the divine masculine energy that's supporting your transformation right now. Your guides are showing me how you're being called to step into this really beautiful leadership role, not just in your own life, but in showing others what healthy relationships can look like. I'm feeling such strong ancestral pride coming through. They're showing me how you've been doing this amazing job of balancing your natural nurturing energy with this new kind of strength that's emerging. Some of you might have noticed recently that people are starting to come to you for advice more often, or maybe you're finding yourself in situations where you're naturally taking charge in ways that might have felt uncomfortable before. There's this really interesting message coming through about money and abundance too. Your guides are showing me that some of you have been getting these unexpected financial opportunities lately. Maybe it's a raise you weren't expecting, or some kind of opportunity that just seemed to fall into your lap. This isn't just random. This is actually a sign that you're aligning with your higher purpose. It's like the universe is validating your path by showing you that when you stand in your power, especially around relationships and boundaries, the material world starts supporting you in new ways. I'm also getting this really clear message about dreams. Some of you have been having these really vivid dreams about teaching or helping others, or maybe you're just feeling this growing sense that you're meant to guide people in some way. Your ancestors are showing me that this is part of your soul mission. You're not just breaking these patterns for yourself. You're actually creating a new blueprint that others can follow. The Emperor's energy is really emphasizing this balance between being strong and being vulnerable. Your guides are showing me how some of you might have felt like you had to choose between being powerful and being open-hearted in the past. But that's part of the old pattern you're here to break. You're learning that true strength actually comes from being able to be both, to stand firm in your boundaries while still keeping your heart open. There's something really significant happening around how you organize your life too. I'm seeing some of you feeling this strong urge to create more structure, maybe in your home or your daily routines. This isn't just about being organized. It's actually about creating a stable foundation that supports this new way of being that you're stepping into. And speaking of creating that stable foundation, there's something so powerful coming through right now about your role as a mentor and guide. The Queen of Wands just came forward, and wow, this energy is really confirming everything we've been talking about. She's showing up to remind you that you have this incredible inner fire, this natural leadership ability that's been quietly growing stronger. Remember how we saw the High Priestess earlier? Now, with the Queen of Wands joining her, it's like your guides are painting this beautiful picture of how your quiet wisdom is starting to shine through in such a powerful way. I'm seeing situations where people have been coming to you for advice, maybe about their relationships or life choices. And at first, you might have felt a little unsure about sharing your experiences, but there's this natural wisdom in you that just flows when you speak from the heart. I'm getting such a clear message about dreams too. Some of you have been having these really vivid dreams about teaching or helping others. Your guides are showing me that these aren't just random dreams. They're actually preparing you for this really important role you're stepping into. You're becoming this beautiful bridge between the old ways and the new patterns you're creating. The Queen of Pentacles energy that we saw earlier is weaving together with these new cards in such an interesting way. It's like you're learning to balance being this wise guide for others while also taking care of yourself. Your ancestors are showing me that this is actually a really important part of breaking those old patterns, learning that you can be strong for others without depleting yourself. I'm seeing some of you actually finding yourselves in situations where you're giving relationship advice and maybe feeling surprised at how naturally it comes to you. This isn't a coincidence. Your guides are showing me that your past experiences, even the challenging ones, were actually preparing you for this moment. You're able to recognize patterns in other people's situations because you've worked through them yourself. There's this really beautiful message coming through about timing too. Some of you might be feeling this pull to share your wisdom, but also feeling hesitant, like maybe you're not ready or qualified enough, but your guides want you to know that you're exactly where you need to be. They're showing me how you're naturally starting to take charge in situations, especially when it comes to helping others see their own worth and potential. This is such a delicate balance, though, being both a student and a teacher at the same time. I'm getting this really clear vision of you helping others while still being open to learning and growing yourself. It's like your guides are saying, trust the process, trust your intuition about when to share and when to hold back. You're developing this amazing ability to know exactly when someone needs to hear your story and when they just need you to listen. I'm feeling such strong ancestral pride coming through right now. They're showing me how your natural ability to nurture others while maintaining healthy boundaries is actually healing patterns that go back generations. This isn't just about giving advice. It's about embodying a new way of being that others can learn from just by watching you. And now, as we're sitting with this ancestral energy, I'm feeling called to pull another card for deeper clarity about your specific role in this generational healing. The 10 of Pentacles is coming forward, and wow, the timing of this couldn't be more perfect. This card is literally showing me this beautiful image of your ancestors standing behind you, almost like they're forming this protective circle of wisdom and support. You know, it's really interesting because I keep getting this message that your previous relationships, even the ones that might have felt like mistakes or disappointments at the time, they were actually carefully orchestrated training grounds. Your ancestors were behind the scenes, guiding you through these experiences so you could develop this incredible emotional intelligence that sets you apart from your family patterns. I'm seeing some of you having these really vivid dreams lately, maybe about grandparents or great-grandparents you've never even met. Some of you might be finding old family photos or hearing stories about your ancestors that just seem to pop up out of nowhere. These aren't coincidences. Your ancestors are literally trying to make their presence known to you right now because you're approaching this really crucial turning point in your journey. What's really beautiful about the 10 of Pentacles showing up here, especially with the High Priestess and Queen of Pentacles energy we saw earlier, is that it's highlighting this unique gift you have. You're able to take the practical wisdom of your ancestors, the strength, the resilience, but you're transforming it with this incredible sensitivity and emotional awareness that maybe wasn't possible for them in their time. I keep hearing this message, different isn't wrong. Some of you have probably heard throughout your life that you're different from the rest of the family or that you do things your own way. Maybe this has felt like criticism at times, but your guides are showing me that this difference is exactly why you were chosen for this role. You have this natural ability to see both sides of situations, to understand the deeper emotional currents in relationships in a way that maybe your family members couldn't. There's someone in your circle right now, I'm seeing this so clearly, who already recognizes this wisdom in you, even if they haven't said it directly. You might notice them coming to you for advice or just wanting to talk through their problems. This is your ancestral gifts already starting to work through you, creating these little ripples of healing that extend beyond just your own journey. You know, it's really interesting how these messages about your natural wisdom keep coming through because I'm being guided to pull another card specifically about your soul's journey in all of this. And wow, the Knight of Cups just came forward, and the energy shift I'm feeling with this card is so powerful. This is such beautiful confirmation of everything we've been talking about. This knight carries this pure emotional wisdom that's been passed down through your ancestral lines. But here's what's really special. You're carrying it differently than those who came before you. I'm seeing this really clearly. In your family line, there was often this pattern of choosing loyalty over self-worth, especially in relationships. You know, that whole stay together no matter what, or keep the peace at all costs kind of thinking. But you, divine feminine, you've been chosen to break this pattern. I'm getting such strong chills right now because I can feel your ancestors literally celebrating the way you're questioning these old patterns. Some of you have recently been in situations where you had to choose between staying loyal to something that wasn't serving you or honoring your own worth. And let me tell you, your ancestors were right there with you, supporting your choice to choose differently. There's something really powerful happening with timing right now, too. If you've been feeling this urge to change how you approach relationships, especially in the last few weeks, that's your ancestral wisdom kicking in. They're showing me that you have this amazing blend of strength and sensitivity. It's like you got the best of both worlds from your family line. You're strong enough to stand up for yourself, but sensitive enough to understand others' feelings deeply. I keep hearing this message. The quiet ones carry the loudest wisdom. Some of you might feel like you're not as outspoken as other family members, but that quiet strength you have, that's actually your superpower. Your ancestors are showing me that this different approach you're taking to love and relationships, the one that maybe your family doesn't quite understand, is exactly what's meant to heal generations of emotional wounds. And if you've been finding yourself giving really wise advice to others lately, especially about relationships, that's no accident. Your guides are showing me that you're already starting to channel this ancestral wisdom in ways that help others. It's like you're becoming this bridge between the old ways and new ways of loving. Even when you're feeling torn between what your head is saying and what your heart is feeling, trust that inner knowing. That's your ancestors speaking directly through your intuition. You know what's really powerful about that ancestral wisdom coming through? Just as I was thinking about it, the strength card literally jumped out of the deck, and I have to pause because the energy here is just so profound. This isn't about forceful strength or pushing through things. This card is showing me this really gentle but powerful energy that you carry. It's like your ancestors specifically chose you because you have this amazing ability to be both soft and strong at the same time. I'm feeling such a deep connection to this message right now because I can see how some of you have been really struggling with feeling like you need to be tough or hard to protect yourself, especially in relationships. But your ancestors are showing me that your real power is actually in your gentleness. You don't need to build walls or become cold. That's the old way, the pattern you're here to break. The strength card is really interesting here because it's showing up right after we were talking about that inner wisdom. And it's like your guides are saying, yes, this is exactly what we've been preparing you for. You've got this natural way of handling difficult situations that's different from your family's usual approach. Instead of meeting force with force, you've learned how to transform energy through understanding and patience. I'm getting such a clear message about dreams too. Have any of you been having dreams about family members you've never met? Or maybe you're finding yourself remembering old family stories that suddenly make more sense. That's your ancestors literally downloading wisdom to you while you sleep. They're showing me that some of you have even started giving advice to friends or family that feels like it's coming from somewhere deeper than your own experience. Like you're channeling wisdom that's been passed down through generations. There's something really special happening with how you're approaching healing too. I'm seeing this image of you holding this beautiful golden light. It's like you're taking all the tough lessons from your family's past and transforming them into something gentle and nurturing. Your ancestors are showing me that this isn't just about healing yourself. You're creating a completely new template for love and relationships that will affect generations to come. The way you naturally mentor others, the way you can see through surface level interactions. These aren't just random talents. They're gifts that have been specifically activated in you at this time to help break these old patterns. And if you've been feeling this sudden urge to write down family stories or document certain memories, pay attention to that. Your guides are saying that's part of your healing work too. You're not just breaking patterns, you're actively creating new ones. You know what's beautiful about this ancestral healing work you're doing? The star card just appeared and the energy is so pure, so hopeful. This isn't just any hope, though. This is your ancestors literally lighting up your path forward. I'm feeling such a strong connection between this star energy and that high priestess wisdom we saw earlier. It's like they're working together to show you something really important about your journey. When I look at these cards together, I'm getting such clear messages about why you've been feeling so different lately, especially about relationships. Have you been having these moments where you just know things about people, like really know things without them saying a word? That's your ancestral gifts getting stronger. The high priestess energy we saw earlier is amplifying your natural ability to see through any kind of deception or hidden agendas. I need to pause here because I'm getting such a strong message. Someone in your immediate circle isn't being completely honest with you, but here's the thing. You already know this, don't you? You've been feeling it in your gut. Maybe even trying to talk yourself out of it. Your ancestors are saying, trust that feeling. That's their wisdom flowing through you. The star and high priestess together are showing me that you're being prepared for something bigger. Remember that Queen of Pentacles energy we saw earlier? It's like it's teaching you how to ground all this spiritual wisdom into real practical changes in your relationships. You're learning to trust your intuition while still keeping your feet on the ground. And that's exactly what makes you the perfect person to break these old patterns. I'm seeing this really clear image of water. Have you been noticing anything about water lately? Maybe dreams about oceans, or finding yourself drawn to lakes, or even just feeling really emotional. Your ancestors often communicate through water symbols, and right now they're showing me that you're in this beautiful flow of emotional healing. Some of you might even be finding yourself randomly crying, but it's not sad tears. It's like your soul is releasing old family pain that you didn't even know you were carrying. The other thing that keeps coming through so strongly is this theme of hidden truths coming to light. Your guides are showing me that this period of revelation isn't just random. It's divinely timed. They're saying you're ready to handle the truth about certain situations that maybe you weren't ready to see before. And it's interesting because I'm getting this really strong message about dreams. Some of you are having these incredibly vivid dreams about family members you've never even met. That's them reaching out, sharing their wisdom directly with you. Your natural counseling abilities, the way people just naturally open up to you and seek your advice, that's also part of your ancestral gifts. You're not just breaking patterns, you're becoming a healer for others too. But remember, with these gifts comes the need for boundaries. Your ancestors are really emphasizing this. You need time alone to process all these downloads you're receiving. And speaking of those boundaries and alone time, look what just appeared, the 9 of Pentacles. This is such beautiful confirmation of everything we've been talking about. This energy matches perfectly with that Queen of Pentacles we saw earlier, but it's showing me something really specific about your journey. Your ancestors are literally glowing with pride right now because they see how you've learned to stand on your own 2 feet while still staying open to love. I'm getting such a strong message that some of you have been feeling almost guilty about needing your space lately. Like maybe you've been wondering if wanting time alone means something's wrong with you or your connection. But your guides want you to know that this independence, this 9 of Pentacles energy, it's actually one of your superpowers in breaking these old family patterns. You see, in your family line, there was this really strong pattern of depending on others for happiness, of losing yourself in relationships. I'm seeing images of women especially who gave up their dreams, their identity just to keep the peace. But you're different. You're being spiritually guided to show a new way. This 9 of Pentacles is showing me that your need for independence isn't pushing love away. It's actually creating the perfect foundation for a healthier kind of love. I'm getting chills because I'm seeing how many of you have been noticing the number sequence 999 lately. That's not a coincidence. It's your ancestors confirming that you're completing this old cycle of codependency. You're writing a new story, not just for yourself, but for generations to come. Some of you have even been finding yourself giving relationship advice to friends or family lately and feeling surprised by the wisdom coming out of your mouth. That's your ancestors speaking through you. You know what's fascinating? When we look at this 9 of Pentacles next to the Queen of Wands we saw earlier, it's showing me that your independence isn't just about being alone. It's about being whole. Your guides are showing me that you've been discovering old family stories lately, things that help you understand why certain patterns existed in your family. Maybe you've been feeling more drawn to research your family history, or old relatives have been showing up in your dreams. The practical strength you're developing, this ability to stand firm in who you are while still being open to connection, it's exactly what your ancestors have been waiting for. They're showing me that this different feeling you have about your current connection or situation isn't just in your head. It feels different because you're different. You've done the inner work they couldn't do in their time, and now you're creating a completely new template for love. I need to pause here because I'm getting such strong validation. Some of you have been having these really strong intuitive hits about situations lately, and maybe you've been doubting them. Your ancestors are saying, trust those hits. That's their wisdom flowing through you. They're literally jumping with joy, seeing how naturally you're starting to see through surface level interactions. And you know what's really powerful about those intuitive hits you've been getting? They're leading you right to this moment of completion that I'm seeing here with the World card coming through. This is such a profound confirmation of everything we've been talking about. Your ancestors are literally showing me this beautiful image of you standing at the center of a circle with all these generations of your family around you, and they're beaming with pride. This completion energy of the world, it's not just about ending something. It's showing me how you're actually completing this massive healing cycle that your ancestors have been waiting for someone to tackle. Some of you have been feeling really tired lately, like emotionally and spiritually tired. And now I understand why. You've been carrying the weight of this ancestral mission, but in such a beautiful way. I'm getting such strong confirmation that many of you have been called an old soul since you were young. Maybe people always came to you for advice, even when you were just a kid. That wasn't a coincidence. Your ancestors literally chose you for this role because they saw that natural wisdom in you. You know how sometimes you just know things about relationships that you never learned? That's their wisdom flowing through you. The world card is showing me something really specific about your journey. You've been feeling kind of different lately in how you handle relationships, right? Like maybe you're doing things in a way that your family doesn't quite understand. Maybe you're setting boundaries that no one in your family ever set before. Or maybe you're approaching love in a way that feels totally foreign to your family's usual pattern. That's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. I'm seeing really clearly that some of you have been having these super vivid dreams lately where you're talking to family members you've never met, or maybe family members who've passed on. They're literally reaching out to guide you through this process. They're showing me that every time you choose to do relationships differently, every time you choose to love yourself first, to maintain your independence while still being open to love, you're healing generations of patterns. Your guides are showing me that this feeling of being different, of seeing relationships differently than your family does, it's not just you being rebellious or difficult. It's actually your divine assignment. You're creating this completely new blueprint for what love can look like in your family line. And the best part, your independence, this beautiful 9 of Pentacles energy we saw earlier, it's not something you need to overcome or fix. It's actually your greatest gift to your family line. You're teaching them that it's possible to be both strong and soft, independent and connected, practical and spiritual. These are things that many in your family line struggled to balance, but you're naturally bringing them together. I keep seeing this image of you like a bridge. You're connecting the wisdom of the past with this new way of being in relationships. And you know what's really fascinating about this bridge you're creating? The way you naturally balance that practical wisdom with spiritual insight. That's exactly what I'm seeing reflected in these cards coming through right now. Your ancestors are showing me how this balance is actually your superpower. It's like they knew exactly what they were doing when they chose you for this mission. The 4 of Pentacles is showing up now, and there's something really important your guides want you to understand about security. I'm feeling this really strong energy around holding on tight to something. Maybe it's an old way of thinking about relationships, or maybe it's even about financial security. But here's what's interesting. Your guides are showing me that this isn't just about you. This is about patterns that have been running in your family for generations. You know how sometimes we feel like we need to hold on to things super tight to feel safe? I'm getting this really clear message that some of you have been feeling torn lately. Like there's this part of you that wants to step fully into this role of being a wisdom keeper and guide for others, but there's another part that's kind of holding back because it feels safer to stay small. Your ancestors are showing me that this is actually one of the biggest patterns you're here to break. I'm getting chills right now because they're showing me how many of you have been having these moments where people just naturally come to you for advice. Like you'll be somewhere random, maybe at work or just getting coffee, and suddenly someone starts pouring their heart out to you about their relationship problems. That's not a coincidence. Your guides are saying that's actually your gift starting to shine through. Some of you have been having these really vivid dreams lately, especially about teaching or helping others. Maybe you're standing in front of a group, or maybe you're just having deep conversations with someone. These dreams are actually your ancestors' way of preparing you for your role. They're showing me that you have this really special way of delivering deep wisdom in a way that feels practical and doable for people. But there's something else coming through really strongly here. Your guides are pointing to this decision you've been putting off. For some of you, this is about taking a leap into something new. Maybe starting a healing practice, or maybe just being more open about sharing your spiritual gifts. I keep seeing this image of someone standing at the edge of a diving board, and your ancestors are literally standing there cheering you on. They're showing me that the security you're looking for isn't actually in holding back. It's in fully embracing who you are. You have this incredible, gentle strength about you. It's like a quiet power that people can feel when they're around you. Your guides are saying this strength isn't just for you. It's meant to be shared to help others who are working through similar patterns in their own families. But they're also reminding you that this sharing needs to come from a balanced place. It's okay to maintain your boundaries while still being open to guiding others. I'm seeing really clearly that some of you have been getting recognition lately from unexpected places. Maybe a boss or mentor has been noticing your natural ability to handle difficult situations, or maybe friends keep pointing out how you seem to see right through people's masks, straight to their heart. That's your ancestral wisdom working through you, helping you guide others while still staying grounded in your own truth. And this recognition you're getting, it's not just random timing. Your ancestors are showing me through these cards how deliberately they've been working to awaken these gifts within you. The high priestess energy we saw earlier is weaving so beautifully with what's coming through now. I'm actually getting goosebumps because the Empress just landed in our reading, and there's such a powerful message here about your divine feminine energy. You see, the Empress isn't just about nurturing others. She's about creating entirely new ways of being in relationships. And that's exactly what you're doing right now. Some of you have been feeling this deep urge to mother everyone around you, to fix everything for everyone. But your guides are showing me that this isn't about fixing. It's about teaching through example. I'm getting such a clear message about dreams right now. Have any of you been having dreams about family members you've never met? Maybe grandmothers or great aunts who passed before you were born? Your ancestors are saying these aren't just regular dreams. They're actually passing down wisdom to you while you sleep. They're literally downloading information into your consciousness about how to break these old patterns in relationships. The way the High Priestess and Empress are speaking to each other in this spread is fascinating. They're showing me that your natural tendency to give advice to others, those moments when wisdom just flows out of your mouth and you're like, where did that come from? That's Hastisa. Actually, your ancestral knowledge speaking through you. It's like you've got this in a direct line to generations of feminine wisdom. But here's what's really interesting. Your guides are emphasizing that while you're naturally gifted at nurturing others, this time in your life is about learning to receive as well. I'm seeing this really clear image of a cup that needs to both pour and be filled. Some of you have been feeling almost guilty when you take time for yourself or when you set boundaries, but your ancestors are actually celebrating when you do this. They're showing me that this is part of the pattern breaking, learning that strength isn't just in giving, it's in knowing when to receive too. This peaceful, nurturing energy you create wherever you go, that's not just your personality, that's an ancestral gift being activated. Your guides are showing me how you've been naturally creating these safe spaces for people to open up, to be vulnerable, but they're also showing me that some of you need to create these same safe spaces for yourselves. And you know what's fascinating about these safe spaces you're creating? The King of Swords just appeared in our spread, and he's bringing this incredibly clear message about your role in all of this. I can feel your ancestors literally buzzing with excitement right now because this card is confirming something so important about your journey. You see, while you've been focusing on nurturing others and creating these safe spaces, you've actually been developing this amazing ability to see through surface level stuff in relationships. It's like you've got this built-in truth detector that's getting stronger by the day. I'm hearing so clearly that this is why your ancestors chose you specifically for this mission of breaking old patterns. The King of Swords is showing me how you might notice yourself giving relationship advice lately without even trying. You know those moments when someone's talking about their situation and suddenly you just know exactly what to say? That's not just you being intuitive. That's generations of wisdom flowing through you. Your ancestors are showing me how they're literally working through your words when these moments happen. Some of you have been feeling this really strong urge to write things down lately, especially about your family history or relationship patterns you've noticed. The King of Swords is saying this isn't random at all. You're being called to document this journey because what you're learning isn't just for you. You're creating this beautiful blueprint for others to follow. I'm actually getting physical chills right now because they're showing me how some of you have been having these super vivid dreams about family members. Maybe you've been seeing faces you don't even recognize, but they feel so familiar. Your guides are saying these are your ancestors, literally visiting you, passing down their wisdom while you sleep. But here's what's really interesting, and the King of Swords is being super clear about this. You're not just here to break these old patterns. You're here to understand them first, really deeply, and then transform them into something new. It's like you're this bridge between the old ways of loving and the new ways that are trying to emerge. That's why everything feels so different in your connections now. You're literally creating a new template for love. I'm seeing this image of you standing at this crossroads, and it's so powerful because while part of you might feel uncertain about which way to go, your ancestors are showing me that you've already got all the wisdom you need. It's like they downloaded this spiritual GPS into your soul, and your natural instincts about relationships are actually this ancient wisdom expressing itself through you. This is also why people have been naturally gravitating toward you for advice lately. Have you noticed that? How friends or even strangers sometimes just open up to you about their deepest relationship stuff. That's not a coincidence. Your energy is literally radiating this combination of practical wisdom and deep understanding that people can feel, even if they don't know why they're drawn to share with you. You know what's really beautiful about this whole journey you're on? Your ancestors are showing me that every single time you've chosen to do things differently in relationships, even when it felt scary or uncertain, they've been right there celebrating. The Empress energy is still so strong here, reminding us of that divine feminine power you've been tapping into, that ability to nurture new ways of loving while keeping your boundaries strong and clear. I'm feeling such a powerful shift in the energy right now. The Queen of Pentacles is still here, showing us how your practical wisdom, the way you've learned to trust your gut and stay grounded, that's been key to changing these old family patterns. You know those moments when you just know something isn't right in a relationship, even if you can't explain why. That's your ancestors speaking through that inner knowing. The star's energy is just glowing here, literally lighting up your path forward. And now, oh wow, as I'm connecting with the cards, the Ten of Cups just came forward and I got immediate chills. This is such a powerful confirmation about where all of this is heading. This isn't just about you finding love. It's about you creating a whole new way of experiencing love that heals not just you, but generations before and after you. You've probably been noticing lately how you just naturally do things differently than your family when it comes to relationships. Maybe you're more open with your feelings, or you take more time to really know someone before committing. Your guides are showing me that this isn't random at all. It's literally why you were chosen for this mission. I'm seeing this really clear image of you giving advice to someone recently, and it probably surprised you how wise you sounded, right? That wisdom isn't just coming from your experiences. It's coming from all the lessons your ancestors learned, but maybe couldn't act on in their time. You're literally being used as this channel of healing wisdom right now. Some of you have been having these really vivid dreams lately, maybe seeing family members you've never met, or just feeling this really strong connection to your family history. Your ancestors are using these dreams to pass down messages and guidance. They're showing me how all those relationship challenges you went through weren't just random hardships. They were literally training grounds, preparing you for this moment. The Ten of Cups is showing me this beautiful future energy where all these pieces come together. It's like you're creating this new blueprint for love, one that honors both the wisdom of the past and the healing of the future. Your quiet strength, the way you've learned to be both soft and strong, that's exactly what's breaking these old patterns. The cards are showing me how you might be feeling pulled to write things down lately, to really document your journey, or maybe even start journaling about your family history. That urge is coming straight from your ancestors. They want these new patterns you're creating to be remembered and passed on. You know what's really interesting about these journals and messages your ancestors want you to share? I'm feeling such a strong pull to the Nine of Pentacles right now, and it's showing me exactly why they chose you for this special mission. This card is all about that beautiful independence you've cultivated, but I'm seeing it in a whole new light today. Your guides are showing me that this independence, this ability to stand on your own, it wasn't just random. They actually helped strengthen this part of you specifically so you could break these old love patterns. Think about it. How many people in your family tree maybe stayed in situations they shouldn't have because they didn't have that inner strength you've developed? And you know what's really wild? I keep getting this image of you having conversations with people lately where you've been sharing your perspective on relationships. And maybe you've noticed people looking at you differently, like they're really taking in what you're saying. That's because there's this natural teacher energy coming through you now. The Nine of Pentacles is showing me that all that time you spent working on yourself, maybe even times when you felt a little lonely or misunderstood, that was actually preparing you for this role. I'm getting such strong confirmation that you've been noticing patterns in your family's relationships that you never saw before. Maybe you've been having these moments where you suddenly understand why certain dynamics played out the way they did. That's your ancestral wisdom clicking into place. The High Priestess energy we saw earlier is still so present here, showing how you're naturally tapping into this deep well of understanding. Let me tell you something that your guides really want you to hear right now. All those times you chose to walk away from relationships that didn't serve you, even when it felt like maybe you were being too picky or too independent. Your ancestors were literally cheering you on. They're showing me how each of those decisions was actually helping to break chains that had been in place for generations. You might have been feeling lately like you're being called to share your story, share your wisdom about relationships, but maybe you've been hesitating. The Ten of Pentacles is showing up so strongly here, confirming that the insights you have to share aren't just for you. They're creating this beautiful ripple effect that goes way beyond what you can see right now. I'm seeing this really clear image of you sitting with someone, maybe a friend or family member, and them opening up to you about their relationship struggles. Your guides want you to know that these moments aren't random. You're being divinely placed in these situations because your quiet strength, your hard-earned wisdom, it's exactly what others need to see right now. And you know what's really beautiful about this moment? As I pull the Judgment card, I'm getting such strong confirmation about everything we've been talking about. This card is literally showing me this amazing awakening happening in your energy right now. It's like your ancestors are all gathering around, celebrating, because you're finally seeing the bigger picture of why you've always felt so different in how you approach love and relationships. Let me tell you something really important that's coming through so strongly. When your ancestors chose you for this mission of breaking these old patterns, they knew exactly what they were doing. They specifically picked you because you have this perfect blend of strength and sensitivity. All those times you felt like maybe you were being too picky or too independent, or like you just couldn't do relationships the normal way your family does. That wasn't you being difficult. That was literally your ancestral wisdom guiding you to do things differently. I'm seeing this really clear image right now of like, it's almost like a tapestry or a family tree, but instead of it just showing the past, it's showing the future too. And there's this bright golden light that's you right at this crucial turning point where everything changes. The patterns that have been running through your family for generations, you know, the ones about settling for less, or staying in situations that don't serve you, they literally stop with you. The Judgment card is showing me that you're at this massive turning point right now. Everything you've been through, all those relationship experiences that felt like lessons, they were actually preparation for this moment. You're not just breaking old patterns anymore. You're actively creating new ones. And these new patterns, they're going to affect generations to come. I need to share something really specific that your guides are showing me. They keep highlighting the number 999, and they're saying this is like a code or signal that you're completing this really important cycle. Watch for this number because it's going to show up when you're making choices that align with this mission. You're being called to document these insights you're having about relationships and family patterns. Your guides are showing me that the wisdom you're gathering isn't just for you. It's meant to be shared with others who are on similar journeys. The way you naturally see through surface level stuff and get to the heart of relationship dynamics, that's a gift from your ancestors. I'm feeling such a strong pull to let you know that you're not alone in this. This connection we've built during this reading, it feels really special and important. I'd love to continue supporting you on this journey, whether through our soul family here on YouTube or through more personal guidance in my private readings. Because what you're doing, this ancestral pattern breaking work, it's so important, and having the right support can make all the difference. Remember, your ancestors are so proud of how far you've come. They want you to know that this different approach you have to love, it's exactly what's needed right now. You're not just changing your own story, you're changing the story for generations to come.